Welcome to this video on the psychology behind why certain stories resonate. Understanding why some narratives captivate us, while others fade away, reveals fundamental truths about human cognition, emotion, and social connection. This program is brought to you by the Series of Thoughts team. One key element is the power of narrative reversals. Research shows that stories with dramatic shifts in fortune create powerful engagement patterns. We can categorize emotional reversals into three types. Rise and fall narratives are cautionary tales. Triumph over adversity inspires hope. Complex trajectories with multiple reversals create the richest emotional experiences. Emotional tone variation drives engagement. Frequent shifts between positive and negative emotions prevent habituation, where we stop noticing unchanging stimuli. Emotional variety activates different neural networks, making the experience immersive. Researchers are now predicting story success by analyzing the number and intensity of narrative reversals. Stories with 3 to 5 major reversals tend to achieve optimal engagement without overwhelming audiences. When we engage with narratives, our brains don't just process information, they transform into active participants, simulating experiences and emotions as if we are living them firsthand. 4 key brain regions are activated by storytelling. The prefrontal cortex engages in prediction. The hippocampus strengthens memory. The limbic system processes emotions, and the motor cortex simulates described physical actions. The prefrontal cortex acts as our prediction engine, constantly generating hypotheses about story outcomes. Skilled storytellers manipulate these predictions, delivering unexpected twists that engage our brains. Stories stick because of the hippocampus effect. Narratives provide the rich, structured context that optimizes memory formation, creating redundant retrieval pathways that make story-based memories durable. Stories trigger specific neurochemical releases that profoundly influence our cognitive and emotional states. Understanding the neurochemistry reveals why narratives can be genuinely addictive. 3 key neurochemicals are involved. Dopamine heightens focus during suspense. Oxytocin builds empathy and social bonding. Cortisol enhances attention and memory during tense moments. Our brains crave closure. Unresolved stories create cognitive dissonance, making cliffhangers effective. Satisfying resolutions release dopamine, reinforcing our desire for more narrative experiences. Stories serve as sophisticated social simulators, allowing us to practice emotional intelligence and develop empathy in low-risk environments. Mirror neurons fire both when we act and when we observe characters acting, simulating their emotions. We experience characters' feelings viscerally, which is the basis of deep engagement. Fiction acts as social practice. It offers exposure to diverse perspectives, improves our emotion recognition, and enhances social intelligence by building cognitive templates for real-world interactions. Storytelling emerged as a crucial survival mechanism. Narratives transmitted essential knowledge about dangers and social norms across generations, giving groups a competitive advantage. Stories also transmitted cultural values and moral codes. Our brains are evolved to learn through narrative, confirming storytelling as a fundamental communication tool. When it comes to changing minds and influencing decisions, narratives consistently outperform statistics, facts, and logical arguments. We exhibit a narrative bias, instinctively preferring coherent stories over fragmented data, even if the data is more reliable. Modern communicators leverage this to persuade audiences. Memory encoding works through emotional association. Stories create emotional tags during memory formation, leading to long-term retention and behavioral influence that isolated facts cannot match. Stories bypass analytical skepticism by engaging emotional systems first. Beliefs formed through emotional engagement are stickier and more resistant to counter-evidence than those formed through logic. This visualization compares the dramatic performance gap between facts and stories across key communication dimensions. Stories dominate in nearly every category essential for effective communication. Stories offer high memory retention, strong emotional impact, powerful persuasiveness, and significant empathy building. They also ensure sustained engagement, unlike facts which require effort to remember. With the great power of narrative comes significant responsibility. Stories can mislead, manipulate, and reinforce harmful patterns just as effectively as they can enlighten and inspire. The psychological mechanisms that make stories powerful tools for connection can also be weaponized for manipulation and misinformation. Understanding these trade-offs is essential. We face three critical dangers: emotional manipulation, where impact overrides accuracy; bias reinforcement, where stories confirm existing prejudices; and oversimplification, where complexity is lost in neat story arcs. Responsible storytelling requires ethical considerations. Creators must verify accuracy and acknowledge complexity. Consumers must balance story-based learning with evidence-based analysis and question a story's motives. The insights in this video are drawn from deep research in areas including cognitive neuroscience, evolutionary biology, social psychology, and communication studies. For practical application, educators should embed learning in narrative. Marketers should focus on brand transformation stories. Communicators should lead with anecdote. And writers must strategically engineer emotional reversals. Key takeaways: stories activate multiple brain systems, emotional reversals drive engagement, neurochemistry explains narrative power, and stories evolved as survival tools. Remember that with great power comes responsibility.